Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final match of the asoiaf-sim.com Tournament of Champions, featuring yours truly, cloudviii, and my opponent, RDMat91. For terrain selection, I had priority and chose a Werewood 3, and my opponent responded by selecting a corpse pile. You see, my list relies healing and passing morale checks, so I was tempted to take a second Werewood 3. But I was also concerned about my opponent's movement and charging abilities. It came down to a choice between a bog and another werewolf tree for me. And in the end, I went for the bog to support my more defensive strategy. And of course, my opponent picked a second corpse pile. At this point, I realized that part of his strategy was for me to fail my morale checks and not heal. I was fortunate enough to also win the priority for deployment, so I chose the top part of the mat, staying as far away from the corpse pile as possible. I will do my best to comment on what is happening with our match. In round 1, our deep mat chose to be the first player. I drew my overgrowth tactics card, but I was worried he might have the counterplot card. He has four tactics cards because of Courtney's bookkeeping ability. I think many players undervalue that ability, but for me, it is very important, especially when you need cards like Counterplot, Issue Command, or Final Strike that can change the course of the game. I decided to play the card nonetheless, and luckily, he didn't have the Counterplot card. I rolled a 5, barely passing the morale check, and attached it to my Rose Knights. Actually, not much happened in round number 1, except for measuring. Lots and lots of measuring. And of course, positioning for the following rounds. We started off activating alternately our NCUs, and then followed by our combat units. We both place our tanky units in the middle, his Baratheon Halberders versus my Rose Knights. We made sure that both of our Golden Company crossbowmen are within short or long range of each other's units. Both of us, we were both careful, positioning and trying to predict each other's move. I was mainly concerned where he will place his Baratheon Halberders and Golden Company crossbowmen, because I was worried that he had the issue command tactics card. And I know if he had that card, he could use that to attack me multiple times next round. I made sure to stay out of his long range and charge range distance as much as I can. He was also cautious because I had two cavalry units and I can charge his units quite far. I played one of my calves on the right side of the map while the other one on the other side, giving me more flexibility. I placed my Rose Knights in the middle and closely supported by my Golden Company crossbowmen. I think we had a pretty similar strategy for this round. He used his Thornwatch similar to my other cav unit and moved his riders of the High Garden on the left side of his Baratheon Halberders to support it. Both of us made sure not to take the side objective this round, as we know that we could be shot at during the next round. Ultimately, I think I was playing a more defensive style than he was. I made sure that my units are within each other's long range and can be supported by one another easily. In round 2, although I'm the first player, our deep mat used Baelish once per game ability to control the letters. I was actually surprised he used it so early, but as you will see in this video, it made a significant impact on this round and the following rounds. I started off by activating Olena, claiming the bags, and replacing the zone's effect using Bronze ability to make my Golden Company crossbowmen shoot his halberders. I knew it would only tickle the halberders and do little damage, but I needed to shift away from his units. However, because of Baelish once per game ability and his use of Baratheon Justice tactics card, I got two condition tokens instead of one. I was prepared to get the weekend token, but because I had the vulnerable token as well, I needed to take an extra measure to protect my crossbowmen. I wasn't comfortable with how close my crossbowmen were to his halberders and riders of the High Garden, so I decided to use tactical reposition to move them further away. At this point, I had no choice but to charge his Baratheon halberders with my Rose Knights. I tried using expert duelist to kill his commander, which I admit was a very long shot. Normally, I wouldn't do it, but the reward of killing Courtney was too great. I needed to roll a 5 or 6 for it to be a success, and I rolled a 4 and failed. Nevertheless, I continue on with the attack and landed 6 hits, which was great, and I thought I could potentially kill 3 to 4 of his units. But having a very tanky unit, he blocked 5 of those hits. He also passed his morale and used Baratheon Conviction to heal for 2 and give me a condition token as well. You know what's the worst part of this one is I completely forgot that he could use his Golden Company crossbowman Sentinel's ability and be within range of my Riders of the High Garden. Talk about double whammy. Fast forward to him activating his Golden Company crossbowmen. He shot my Riders of the High Garden, and I was able to block 1 hit. But because of the vulnerable token, it did a total of 4 wounds. I barely passed my panic test and was able to play Baratheon Conviction to heal for 2 wounds. During the same turn, I used my Golden Company crossbowman's ability Sentinel to position itself for the next turn. We both had a very similar sequence, getting attack, passing morale, using Baratheon Conviction to heal for 2, using Golden Company crossbowman's ability Sentinel, and then shooting the opponent. During his turn, I played my second Overgrowth card, and I was debating whether or not to attach it to my crossbowmen or my cavalry unit. Since my riders were about to die, I took a risk and attached it to them. At this point, his crossbowman was my target. I was committing both my Golden Company crossbowmen and Riders of the High Garden to kill his unit. My crossbowman activated and shot at his bowman. It connected for 4 hits, but he used his weakened token. Fortunately, the rolls were on my side and it rerolled for 4 hits again. This attack did 4 wounds. He, however, passed his panic test, and luckily, he does not have his second Baratheon conviction. I felt confident as my Riders of the High Garden haven't activated yet. I thought I could kill his Golden Company crossbowman this round, and then target his Thornwatch afterwards. But I guess the Dicey God had other plans. And this is what I meant. He needed a 5 or a 6 to successfully charge me. The chance of that connecting is pretty low, right? He is already measuring where he will end if he fails to charge. Whether he successfully charge me or not, he will still be able to charge block my riders and protect his Golden Company crossbowmen. I was sweating at this point. I was praying that this would be a fail charge. I am sure that he was also praying that this would be a successful charge because this could mean his Golden Company crossbowmen surviving or dying. And that could be the game. And you did not see it here, but he rolled a 5. A 5. I wasn't concerned about the damage it would do to my Riders of the High Garden, but he was able to do two things. First, heal his bowmen because of the attachment, and second, block my riders from charging his Golden Company crossbowmen. I was devastated. I was this close from killing his Golden Company crossbowmen, and now I'm back to square one again. But what he did here was very unexpected, and I was not sure if it was a mistake or not. But he decided to retreat his Thornwatch and sit on the objective. I'm not too sure if he's after the point or if he had any plans after this. But I was very surprised. I'm not sure what really happened there, but I was happy that he retreated. I took the opportunity and charged his Golden Company crossbowmen using my Riders of the High Garden. I know there is a small chance of me killing his unit, even if I'm attacking only with 6 dice. It is still 6 dice, and it's a 3 up attack. It's an auto in, and I use my Ars is the Fury to give me +1 to hit. And even with the weakened token, I'm feeling confident that I can do some damage against his crossbowmen. This attack did 5 wounds, and he failed his panic test, but because of the Iron Resolve, he did not take any damage. And then there it is. He played the final strike. Ouch. That actually almost wiped out my Riders of the High Garden and turn the tables around. That if I had one more damage against him, he could have killed my riders instead of me killing his Golden Company crossbowmen. And that is the round. Both players scored 1 point each, but the walls were definitely on my side. His Thornwatch took 4 wounds while my scout only one. In round 3, our deep mat was the first player, and I know my Riders of the High Garden is my main priority. I need them to survive. When he activated an NCU, I immediately used Courtney's ability. There was some discussion on how Olena and Courtney's ability interacted with one another, but we both decided to follow what we thought was correct. Him claiming the bags using Olena enabled my riders to heal for 5 wounds, and his Golden Company crossbowmen for 3. During my turn, he played one of his quest cards and attached it to one of his units. I then activated Olena, claimed the swords, and let my riders attack his bowmen. I was feeling good since I had sustained assault for max dice and rerolls, but he used his counterplot card and cancelled my card's effect. His counterplot was timely as it would have given me 6 dice with rerolls. I would have killed his unit with that attack. But because of that card, I only managed to do 1 wound on his bowman. At this point, I was thinking if I should have retreated my cav units instead of trying to kill his crossbowmen. But it is what it is. I have already rolled the dice and I have to live with it. I claimed the crowns using Courtney and replaced it with the wall attack. It dealt 3 wounds to his Thornwatch, which lost 1 rank and could potentially lose more if he decides to attack my Riders of the High Garden due to the overgrowth. I then used Courtney's ability to block the horses so I could use it to attack his Thornwatch again or let me heal again. He decided to let me heal so his Thornwatch can get away from the objective token. I was trying my best to kill his crossbowmen, but due to the weakened token and my riders of the High Garden hitting on a 4 ups with only 4 dice, it was very difficult. I was able to do 2 wounds on this attack and he passed his panic test. He again played Baratheon Justice to put weakened and vulnerable on my riders. How many Baratheon Justice does he have? His Golden Company crossbowman should have been dead a few attacks ago, and I know he will heal up again once his Stormwatch attacks. His only way to save his crossbowman is to charge my crossbowman using his Stormwatch. He is now checking how far his Stormwatch is. I think he needed a 2 to successfully charge me, but I bet it felt like he needed a 5 or 6 because it was a do or die situation for both his Stormwatch and crossbowman. He committed and went for it. He activated his Stormwatch and successfully charged my crossbowman. Because of this one, he was able to heal his Golden Company crossbowman for 2 wounds, and his attack did 3 wounds on my Golden Company crossbowman. The Thorn's Watch mission was a success. Disrupt my attack and heal his unit back. Even though I played Final Strike, his Thornwatch healing ability allowed it to survive. Retreating was his best option to heal, but that meant I could pivot and shoot either his bowman or Thornwatch when my crossbow activates. And that is exactly what I did. I activated my bowman and decided not to take any risk and just shoot his Thornwatch and kill it for good. At this point, he knows that the only way for him to kill my riders of the High Garden is to charge it using his riders. He retreated his bowmen, making my riders open to be charged by his riders. He made sure to pivot his crossbowmen just enough so his cav unit can charge mine. After he was done pivoting his crossbowmen, I also checked which way to pivot my cav unit to block his riders from charging it. Fortunately, after some trial and error, I figured out a way. If I pivot my riders properly, my Rose Knights will be able to charge his Baratheon Halberders, which will block his riders from charging my riders. Or so I thought. I'll explain in a minute. I went for it. I charged his Baratheon Halberders using my Rose Knights. This time, I used the Auto 1 wound from Expert Duelist to ensure he will take a damage from this attack. My attack did 4 hits, but he was able to block 3 of those. With the Expert Duelist, I did a total of 2 wounds, making him lose 1 rank. It didn't really matter for me because the goal was to block his riders from charging my riders, and I was sitting on the middle token. But the next sequence showed that our deep mat is very familiar with his list. After attacking his halberders, he used his Golden Company crossbowman's ability Sentinel to move away from my riders. He was thinking whether to sacrifice his Golden Company crossbowman for 1 victory point or stay outside the objective token to avoid getting shot by the walls. He was weighing the rewards versus the risks. Here, you can see that he ultimately decided to go for the victory point. He knows that because he controls the bags, his armor saves from his for his crossbowmen is now 4 ups instead of 5 ups. He moved his bowmen out of the way, and his riders can now flank charge my riders of the High Garden. I know this is going to hurt. It's 9 dice hitting on 3 ups. My only saving grace here is the corpse pile, which will remove his rerolls. Before attacking, Overgrowth dealt some damage, but his riders were still at full rank. He then played Ours is the Fury, making it 9 dice hitting on 2. He got 8 hits in, and I was blocking 8 hits on a 6 up defense armor saves. And of course, I did not block any of the hits, and I had 8 wounds to my riders of the High Garden. Fortunately, I passed my panic test, and my riders survived another round. I used my sentinel order to position my crossbowmen in shooting range of both of his units. This is the end of round 3. His bowman survived the wall attacks, but with 1 HP left. Our current score is 4 is to 2 in favor of cloudviii. In round 4, I was the first player. I debated whether to heal my cavalry unit or shoot his bowmen. After some thought, I chose to heal my riders of the High Garden to make sure they survive an attack from his rider. During his activation, I played my quest card, which was irrelevant at this point, but what the heck. He then activated Olena and claimed the horses. I think this was a good move on his part because this enabled his bowman to move away from the objective token, ensuring that I don't kill it using one of my NCUs in my next turn. Because he took the horse, it allowed me to claim the swords and shoot his riders of the High Garden with my Golden Company crossbowmen. I was able to deal 4 wounds, and he also failed his panic test for 2 more, making him lose a total of 6 wounds. That made him lose a rank, which is what I needed. I was confident that I could kill his riders of the High Garden this turn with my bowmen, even though it meant sacrificing my riders in the process. When he activated his riders of the High Garden to attack my riders, he played his tactics card Ours is the Fury to get +1 to hit. Since he is not charging, he is now rolling 4 dice, hitting on a 3 plus dice roll. I only had one tactics card remaining at this time, and I played it. It was loved by the small folk tactics card, which I do not normally use, and I discard it. But in this game, it saved me. He needed a 9 plus to pass his morale test because he was in short range of my commander Loras, and he was on the corpse pile. When he rolled for his morale test, it failed. I was able to put a weakened token and a vulnerable token, which was perfect. He then used Tagwits to remove his vulnerable token and place a panic token on my riders. I think he was worried about dying with my overgrowth. That's why he removed the vulnerable token. The weakened token is crucial for me. That meant if he attacked my riders, they had a chance to survive. He rolled 4 dice, and amazingly, all of them missed. I then used my Golden Company crossbowman's ability, Sentinel, to position them either to shoot his cav unit or his crossbowman. I had a choice. I can either attack his riders of the High Garden on the flank and kill it for good, or attack his crossbowmen who have not activated this round for 6 dice without rerolls. I took the risk and attacked his crossbowmen. I finally managed to kill them. After 4 rounds of trying to kill them, I finally managed to kill them. When my riders of the High Garden activated this round, it attacked his rider and delivered the finishing blow. At this point, we both agreed to finish the game until the last round. I had no intentions of killing his Baratheon's halberd with my units. The final score was 11 to 3 in favor of cloudviii. I was happy to win through points. It was a close game for my standards, and it came down to me having the right cards, while like Overgrowth, while our Deep Mat didn't have his issue command or counter plot at the right time. I think the roles were fair. We both passed and failed our panic test. I think we were the only Baratheon players in the tournament, and we both made in the finals. It was a fantastic matchup between two Baratheon players. I want to thank our Deep Mat for the game, and a big thanks to Chris DJ for sponsoring and creating the asoiaf-sim.com platform. I highly encourage everyone to check out the platform as an alternative or even as your main way to play Sif online. Congratulations to all players and winners of the tournament, and I hope to see you again next time.